So Colorado Athletic Director Rick George said to his fans, "We want the Nebraska game to be all black and gold." And he accentuated the part of no red. Well, us Husker fans love a challenge. And hey, Rick, we got 2 words for you. We coming.
45, 50, 45, 40, 35, 30. He's gonna go. Holy cow.
Big Red Junkies.
Day by day, he gets better and better. He gets better and better. Team is JPB. Oh, man, woman, and child, he just turned this stadium inside out.
We coming.
Oh, we coming.
We coming.
I'm coming.
Some of us might have
I
came.
know that.
As Deion and his team said after the TCU game, we're here.
Yeah.
Apparently, they think they've already arrived.
Of
Won one
course.
game.
Well,
I think
that's one more than we expected this year, so that's
I mean,
on them.
with the way the talk has been, I think they're going to win the Super Bowl easily.
They basically already won the national championship.
No, they're going to the Super Bowl.
Oh, fuck.
Like,
yeah, you're
no,
right.
they're not-
They're in the NFL already.
Absolutely. Everyone, I mean, they're the best team of all time. They're better than the 95 Huskers. They're better than the 01 Miami team. They're better than the 05 Texas.
Any Nick Saban team,
Like,
all of it.
They're better than the 85 Chicago Bears. I mean, they're the greatest team of all
Yeah.
time. Just listen to anybody.
Well, especially Nebraska fans. Nebraska fans seem to be like, I'm not saying every Nebraska fan, but the overreaction, from the Minnesota game, everybody instantly calling. I don't know how many posts I saw that I literally just snoozed for 30 days.
Mhm.
That person.
I think-
I'm like, if you're going to call for Matt Rhule to get fired, or Satterfield to get fired, or Jeff Sims to get benched, and
Or
tossed
Casey
out of the-
Thompson to transfer back.
whatever. Maybe you like Casey Thompson. I'm not
That's
gonna.
fine,
I'm not
but-
gonna throw a fit about the players or players that you miss. That's one thing. But to call for coaches to get fired one game into their tenure is ridiculous.
Close game that had a lot of upside.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm sorry. Shame on you. Shame on you if you're sitting here watching this going, well, fuck. It's the same thing as Scott Frost over again. You know, one of the funniest things I think I saw was the Scooby-Doo pulling the mask off and
That was
it's Scott
funny.
Frost.
Was
Like it's hilarious, but it's not true.
Yeah.
If you watched any of that game other than the last 4 minutes, it's not true. It's obvious that it's not true.
I think a lot of what we've seen, because it's a few loud people, really.
Of course it
And I
is.
think a lot of what we've seen is just people trying to get views.
I think
Get looks.
based on the video that we put out
I mean,
and the traction that it's gotten and the response that it's gotten
a lot of
is
people.
very proof positive that it's just a few loud people.
One fucking game, guys.
Exactly.
Jesus.
Well, and I really think that, okay, whatever happened in the Nebraska-Minnesota game is what happened. I think what it is the disappointment of how that game went and then added on to how good Colorado looked. No matter how bad or good you want to say TCU is, I get it. But I think the combination of both of those, like if Colorado would have struggled and then still won, then I don't think the fervor would have been what it is now. I think the combination of, at least offensively, how good Colorado looked, and then the way Nebraska looked, I think that adds, it's just a combustible element that
Would a
made everybody
C1
lose their fucking shit.
Would a C1 junior varsity high school team struggle against that TCU defense right now?
Yes, they would. They'd get their ass
so
kicked,
bad.
But I know what you mean.
I'm gonna say this one last time, and then I don't want to talk about it anymore. Anybody who is overreacting to the point that, Colorado's a national championship contender, you didn't watch that game. Just like anybody who's overreacting, saying Matt Rhule's worthless, he's the same as Scott Frost, we're still in the same boat, blah, blah, blah. You didn't watch the game. Plain and simple, you didn't watch the game.
Both sides are wrong. Now, granted, down the road, could you end up maybe being right? It's let's get into
There's nothing saying you're not right down the road. Yeah. I'm saying right now, you don't have a fucking clue.
Let's get into the Colorado conversation. Everybody is anointing Colorado this, and everybody's saying we were all wrong about Colorado. Everybody was wrong about
Joel
Colorado.
Klatt, he called it.
It's like, but here's the thing: no one was wrong about Colorado because of one damn game. There is not a single person. I don't care about Joel Klatt. He can say what he wants because he's also a little biased.
Yeah,
but
he's a Colorado alum,
and I'm not saying that in a bad way as far as bias. He should be.
No.
But Nobody without the
He's
last
also
name.
very non-haterish of Nebraska. And
Right.
He has every right to be hating in Nebraska.
Nobody that does not have the last name Sanders could have sat there and anywhere over the last 8 months and said, this is what's going to happen. And what happened at the TCU game. There's not a single fucking person. They might say, oh, I thought this was going to happen. No, you didn't. You might have thought that this whole experiment, because that's what it is going to be successful down the road.
It's an amazing case study.
And that's perfectly fine if you think that this experiment is going to be successful. That's fine. It's also still a wait and see. But anybody that's saying today after game 1, see, told you, I knew it. No, you didn't. You're full of shit. No, you didn't. Not a single person that does not have the name Sanders. Because I'll say, as of right now, I was wrong. Because they looked 1,000 times better than I thought they would.
They look really sharp on offense.
Yes.
They did. But if you
I'm not saying they look
game,
great. I'm just saying they look
but if
better.
you watch that game, they also got made to look really sharp on offense by an extremely exhausted and very low talent defense. That defense, I can't. 5 or 6 games last year of Nebraska's terrible defense in the first half of the season would be the same number of broken tackles we saw in basically the second half of that game. It was
for the whole game.
Atrocious.
It was 19 missed tackles by TCU.
It was atrocious.
Which turns out to be 25% of their tackle attempts were missed.
That's fucking crazy.
That's a lot.
What did Nebraska have for the whole season last year?
Well, they averaged 11.6 last year in Nebraska.
Okay. And our defense was bad last year.
I was gonna say we were not
TCU
good at tackling last year.
And TCU had 19.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if they have 17 missed tackles, they probably win that
There's
game.
2 touchdowns that don't go on the board.
They probably win that game. And it's still a terrible defensive performance. You missed 17 tackles.
It was like 27 to 32 going into the fourth quarter. And every score in the fourth quarter was strictly due on both sides, I will say.
Yep.
Strictly due to missed tackles or bad tackles.
terrible.
Nobody recognizing that they still almost put up 40. Like their defense still gave up almost 40 points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't look good. In TCU's offense, TCU had multiple offensive penalties that killed drives in the first half. TCU had several missed opportunities where quarterback was just a little pass happy or little trigger happy, throwing it out of bounds over the top of a wide open wide receiver. Like TCU did not look good on either side of the ball, especially on defense. They looked bad on defense.
Now, you got to give it to the passive fan that didn't watch any lick of that game and they just checked ESPN for the update at the end and saw Colorado won. TCU was in the playoff last year. The optics look amazing for Colorado.
On top of the fact that you're getting the massive fellatiating by ESPN and every other news outlet right now, Fox especially, because they were there covering it for their big noon kickoff.
And they're going to be at Colorado this upcoming week, so they have.
But you were getting it throughout the game.
Yeah,
we got I don't know how many, like 8 or 9 notifications from ESPN and Fox during that game.
Yeah,
like come on,
they
guys.
were dripping on my phone.
I realized that Prime is good for TV. He's good for marketing, and you know what?
Right.
He's going to be fan-fucking-tastic for this week's game. And if Nebraska can show up and can show out and potentially win this game, I personally think we have it's a much closer shot than anybody's giving us right now.
Absolutely.
And when you look at how the line has changed preseason, we talked about it on our preseason show, minus 11.5, Nebraska was favored preseason. Then right after those 2 games got played, it drops down to minus 2.5 in favor of Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, that's at Colorado. So essentially they're saying on an even playing field, that's 5.5 points better. After seeing the games, Vegas thought Nebraska was still 5.5 points better with a 3-point swing going to Colorado for being at home. And then so much money's gotten dumped on Colorado. They're getting boatloads of money dumped on Colorado national championship bets.
They said like 95% of the bets, the money
for the games for this
just for this game,
yeah,
is going on Colorado.
Yeah, it's insane.
There's more money on Colorado than there is on any NFL game.
Yeah,
it's like, and NFL is like the most bet sport out there. Like,
it's insane.
It's crazy.
It's insane, but it's fun. It is, regardless of what happens, unless we get absolutely embarrassed, it's good for both programs.
I agree.
If it's a good game, it is good for both programs from a recruiting standpoint, from a national relevance standpoint. Hey, look, we got national television all night on Thursday night last week. We're the only relevant game being played in the noon slot, to my knowledge. What's the next best game being played in the noon slot?
I haven't looked at the full schedule.
Yeah, I didn't look at the full schedule either. I mean, obviously, I know Texas, Alabama play later on in the day.
But like just in the Big Ten, you've got Ohio State and Penn State playing in that slot against Delaware and Youngstown State.
Ooh.
So it's not like anybody's watching that shit. You got Notre Dame and North Carolina State.
Yeah.
This is going to be all eyes on Nebraska, Colorado. There've already been pundits that have been talking about how they think that this could be the most watched regular season game this season in college football.
There's a ton that goes into it. You got the Deion stuff. You got the 2 brand new coaches. You got the old rivalry that a lot of people are still into.
Huge old rivalry. And the bazillion.
Which I don't think is still a rivalry.
You've got the people who want to watch Nebraska lose. You got the people who want to watch Deion fail. Like, everybody has some sort of stake in this game.
Yeah, you can pick a rooting side in this, one way or the other. People that have never cared about Nebraska or Colorado
football, they just like drama. There's going to be a lot of drama involved, and I guarantee it's going to get chippy.
And regardless of whether or not they're good, the way that Deion's team plays, they're entertaining.
Yeah,
they take every chance they can take. They happen to complete a lot of those chances against TCU. We would have to take a massive step back on defense from what we saw last Thursday in order for them to have the type of success that they had against TCU.
Yeah.
That you just simply drop our defense into that game, all other factors equal, and that they score easily at least 2 or 3 times less.
Yeah.
Not times less, but 2 or 3 scores less than they score.
I knew what you meant, yeah. Yeah, it's funny that I purposely did not watch any of the press conference from Deion yesterday or 2 days ago, whichever one it was.
Didn't you want to be fueled with rage?
That's exactly why I didn't watch it.
Didn't fuel me with rage.
No?
Nope.
I didn't watch it either because I didn't want to. I just figured it would be
I saw clips of it and I heard clips of it. And I made the comment just a bit ago about that's not a rivalry anymore, but it was hilarious listening to Shedeur Sanders and Deion Sanders talk about how this is personal. We learned about the rivalry between Nebraska. This is personal? You think Shedeur Sanders knows anything about this rivalry whatsoever?
Or that
Deion Sanders
cares?
Doesn't give a flying fuck about this rivalry whatsoever.
Fuck off.
He can sit there and try to drum up some...
He's manufacturing a chip. That's what he's doing. I did watch the whole press conference, and some of the clips, especially the one where he was talking about it's personal, were kind of taken out of context because what he talked about in the whole thing. And I thought the exact same thing you did because I saw the clips and I'm like, oh, I want to go watch this and get a little fired up for the show. And he actually paid a lot of respect to Matt Rhule.
Oh, no.
The only thing that I will say that I
didn't mean that he was being disrespectful. I'm just saying.
No. I'm saying I don't know if he was intentionally doing this or not, but he never named Rhule. No. He said that Nebraska coach. He said the coach over there in Nebraska. He referenced him every other way other than...
Is that a slider? Is that Deion?
No way he doesn't fucking know his name. Matt Rhule sat in his coach's office when he was a high school coach. He recruited a guy out of Deion's program in high school. So he definitely knows his fucking name.
He's got a brand new team and over 80 absolutely new players. He's got a lot of names to learn right now. I don't know if he knows all that coaches.
A lot of blood clots to get through.
That too.
Okay.
No. I did not get disrespect from him. He actually paid some respect to Matt Rhule. He paid respect to how what he's seen so far in our progress. He said we're not going to. They fully expect we're not coming in here to lay down. They don't think it's going to be an easy game. He said all the right coach speak things.
Yeah.
But he did. He talked about we know that this rivalry might not be about us and all that hate between Colorado and Nebraska. That's not necessarily all about us yet because we haven't been here for a game. But we know that when they come here, they don't like us. So we don't like them. And that was kind of where he was going with all that stuff. That it was more along those lines, because when I originally saw that, I'm like, how does a guy who's from Florida State, who's never even fucking been north of the Mason-Dixon line, have a fucking clue what he's talking about when it comes to Colorado?
That's why, like I said, fair. I only saw the clips, so I appreciate the context.
Yeah.
The clips made it sound really dumb.
And Shedeur and what's his name, Travis Hunter, both made comments in their press conferences about the same types of things. but that it was, they went on to then say, and that soundbite got out, but they went on to then say in those press conferences, hey, we're going to play the same game that we played last week. We're going to play the same game we're going to play next week. We prepare for each team like it's the last game we're ever going to play, blah, blah. Went on to talk about it. Basically, it's, we're going to hear a lot of that same stuff this week from our guys.
Mhm.
We've already heard Rhule talk about, he's referenced it. It's not like he's out here like, oh, we fucking hate Colorado. We're going to go fucking burn their houses down. I did see the picture, though. Apparently they brought Osborne in to talk yesterday in practice, which is cool as hell because he can actually – I'm sure that Colorado did similar shit, but he can lend some stories and some things to those players that'll probably help them get a little fired up.
He also just walks into a room and brings a certain amount of charisma with him.
Yeah.
Like, it's just...
And I mean...
I don't know if he has that as much anymore, but...
And again, to be fair
you have
to...
any sort of history lesson, you know who he is.
To be fair to me saying what I said with Deion or any of the Colorado players saying the stuff about how, this personal blah, blah. I'll say the same thing about Nebraska coaches and most of the Nebraska players. They don't know...
Unless you're a kid who grew up a Nebraska fan.
That's why I said most
or,
of it.
Or a Colorado fan, one or the other.
MJ Sherman and Billy Kemp don't give a shit about this rivalry. Like, it doesn't mean anything to them. It's just, again, another game. You're in front of us. We want to beat you. That's fine.
I think there might be a
I'm
little
not
more
hating on it. I'm just simply saying this quote-unquote rivalry is for the fans. It's not for the players right now because they're not in the same conference. If they were still in the same conference, then yes, I get it. We're not in the same conference. This game means something as far as the wins and losses, but outside of that, after the game's over, it's like,
also,
okay, it was a non-conference game.
Kind of as we talked about before the season even started, there just isn't as much school rah-rah on the players as there used to be. They're here, it's more of a business side of things than it is I'm here to play for a specific team.
Yeah.
I think that there is definitely more to this game than just it's another game, especially for the Nebraska players and coaches right now because they've now been shit on for the last 5 days.
Yep.
6 days. Will be 8 days going into this game, 9 days going into this game, being told by everybody nationally, we're going to get stomped, we're going to get crushed. All you're hearing about is all the Vegas bets going in and all this different stuff. That is fuel for the fire. And when you look at the analytics...
But they would also have that fuel if they were playing Toledo on Saturday.
If they were hearing the same shit.
Yeah, all of the things equal.
I'm just saying.
If they were hearing the same shit, they would not be getting that if we were playing Toledo on Saturday and they weren't hearing about how we were going to get stomped.
Well, okay, that part, but I'm talking about everybody thinking, it's the same old song and dance, we'd be hearing that for 9 days. Whoever we were playing, it'd still be a fuel for the fire of like, okay, you think this is the same thing?
Yeah, but it's totally different when you're talking about a nationally televised game where you're the only show on TV at the time. And you're getting told all week, oh, prime this and prime that. The most polarizing figure in college football, you're about to get a chance to shut him the hell up and shut everyone else up. There's way more fire that's going into that. Way more fire that's going
I'm just saying that there would be still some fire of the players being like, okay, we'll show you. But
well, yeah, if there's no fire, we have a problem.
Yeah.
Then I'll question the coaches. If you can't manifest and use some of this, manufacture some of what's going on right now to get some of these dudes fired up.
And I don't get that from Coach Rhule. I don't get no fire from Coach Rhule. He also
when I watched his coaches when he did his coaches show and when he did the
I did not watch the coaches show. But I usually don't.
Sat there like
shows
this.
are pretty bad.
He sat there like this. And he was just kind of waiting for the next question, and he just got through it. His brain was going nonstop. It was like he was taking the moment to answer the questions and like talk to him and be respectful for being at the show. But this was like, he looked like a madman, a dude who hadn't slept, who was like, I've got to get this fucking problem solved. I've got to get this thing fixed right now.
Yeah.
It made me a little bit nervous, but at the same time, it was like, he looks like a dude who's super ultra focused.
He definitely gives me a two mindsets type of personality. As soon as we saw him on that bus coming by when they were headed to the game from Minnesota, and he was like, he gave us the fans a little wave, but he was laser focused on what he was doing. He's got his friendly side, and then he's got his coaching side, and that's what I saw in that.
He was intense as shit on the sideline too.
Yeah,
he's there to do one thing: coach football.
Well, let's talk football. We've got Colorado, Nebraska. It's 11 o'clock kick on freaking Saturday. I'm stoked. I'm smoking all the meats for it. Anybody that's going to be here, not this guy,
I will not be here.
can come over and watch it. You're going to the game.
I'm going to the game. By the way, if anybody's going to the Blur tailgate party in Boulder, I will be there. So that's where I'm tailgating early in Boulder.
Nice.
Obviously, it has to be early since it's a 10 a.m. game.
Are you driving out tomorrow or on Friday?
Friday.
Elijah told me he's driving out on Friday as well.
Oh, okay.
So
I'll wave to him as I go by him. I don't know.
who are you going with?
I'm driving myself, but I'm meeting my cousin and his girlfriend out there.
Gotcha. Okay.
They're flying in on Thursday, tomorrow night. And they're staying. They used to live in Denver, so they're staying with some friends Thursday night, and then I'm going to pick them up as I go through Denver to go up to Boulder.
Nice. Very cool.
So yeah.
Now that's exciting, man. You're gonna have some cool pictures, and hopefully you get some cool pictures and some cool stuff for us to post up.
I mean, other than the obvious of this 10 a.m. local kick, how much it sucks.
That's gonna be tough.
Like, I already have a hard time sleeping the night.
You're going to be up at 3 a.m. It's not going to matter.
Am I going to be able to sleep at all? Like,
Just go to bed at noon the night before.
I'm going to get into Boulder, and I'm basically going to check into our hotel, and I'm going to have to go to bed. But when in the hell am I going to actually fall asleep?
What time are you taking off? Are you taking off in the morning here? Or?
Yeah, I'm going to leave as early as I possibly can. Maybe I'm thinking 7 to 8-ish. So
Nice.
I'm going to get to Boulder fairly
Like
early.
5 probably.
Well,
You'll be in
at
Colorado.
the latest.
Maybe you can find something that'll help you sleep.
You know what? I've never done any of that.
Just
But
take
maybe
a
I'll
gummy.
have to.
Take a gummy, dude. You might miss the game though. That'd be the bad thing.
Just
You might wind up sleeping.
Wait, never
until-
see Jet again.
So talk about passing out during the third quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I take it all back. Don't find anything that'll help you
Nah,
sleep.
just plan on going back after the game and passing out. Like that's what I would.
I know, but God, I'm gonna be so fucking jacked. I can't fucking wait.
You know, it's interesting to me because we've talked so much about the difference in both the teams. And I thought it was interesting when they called out, like Urban Meyer called it out on the pregame show for the Nebraska-Minnesota game about how there's 66 new players and 44 of them are freshmen, this and that. I don't think that I had actually heard that number spoken out loud. Like it hadn't clicked with me yet. I'm curious to know how many of those 44 freshmen are walk-ons because that seems like a high number when we looked at our recruiting class.
Yeah.
Because I thought we were only in like the 27-ish range or something like that.
Yeah.
But maybe we did have a bunch of walk-ons. Maybe we had some other stuff
I
happen.
mean, we had a
that I
good
didn't know,
amount of
but-
walk-ons, but
He also had to fill those numbers in from somewhere.
Well, but the team's bigger than it's been for like 4 years, they said. So some of it's fake numbers, or at least numbers that aren't affected quite like
Yeah, you
bringing in 84 new scholarship players for Colorado.
You have that many kids, and then you're still playing one on both sides of the ball.
I'm talking about Nebraska. But comparing to isn't it 84 new scholarship players that Colorado brought on?
it's in the 80s. Yeah.
It's something crazy.
And I mean, it
They
can't be
only-
over 85. 'cause
They only
that's
had
the limit, but
They only had a hangover of one starter.
I think they brought back 3 scholarship guys.
3
So it'd
scholarship
be
guys, but
82
one
scholarships
starter I think was all they brought back
on defense. I
on
know.
defense. And I think he's the safety that's out this game. I can't remember
Yeah.
one
No,
of the other.
no, the safety, Slusher, he is a transfer.
Okay. Well, I know he's out for the game. Deion already said that for sure in his press conference.
Yeah.
you know-
I did hear that part of it.
It's an interesting little triumvirate family tree thing that they have going on because basically Shedeur Sanders is his leader on the defense with Hunter playing both
He's
sides
not
of
the
the ball.
leader on the defense.
Well, that's what
Travis-
he called him that in his
Yeah, but
press
that's 'cause
conference.
It's his
He
son.
said it in his press conference. He said he's their leader on the defense. He's their captain on the defense. Is the way he way he put it out there. And you've got Travis Hunter playing corner, who's also playing every snap on offense at wide receiver. Played 129 snaps, including 6 pre-snap penalties. So he's on the field for 135 snaps in 130-degree weather last week.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
You have that on essentially a shortened week because the game's so goddamn early. We get an extra 2, almost 3 days of rest and practice
I did also
on
hear
top
that
of what Colorado has.
Deion said I don't want. I told Travis Hunter I don't want to see him on the practice field until at least Wednesday.
Yeah.
So
That's
him
smart.
and
yeah,
Shedeur, I think.
absolutely.
He probably had one of those bras on, and he's like, "Yep, body's doing stuff. You're not allowed here."
Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you what. When we were in we went in last night to do thought we were going into labor. Turns out we weren't, but all the different monitors and the different shit that they were hooking up to were in these big things they put all over and this and that. I'm like, fuck it. What it would be to be a D1 student athlete right now and be able to just throw one of those little bras on and not have to worry about all the other shit because it probably tracks all this stuff too.
Yeah, those are
Some of those machines that they have in there are like 15, 20 years old. I'm like, God damn, you guys need some new technology up in here.
It works, whatever.
We got sports bras telling people
y'all,
what
y'all
when
know
they
you
need to
can do
cut
this
their
with a
toe
bra
numbers.
now, right? Like,
Yeah,
Hey, you don't need the cords anymore.
Yeah, what is this? No, but back to what I was talking about. It was just they basically have Shedeur and a handful of really really talented wide receivers and a running back that they had transfer in that didn't play well last week.
No. Who?
The running back,
Dylan Edwards is the running back.
and he didn't run well last week. They didn't have a bunch of yards on the ground.
Oh, I'm sorry, because I was like, he had 130 something yards receiving.
Receiving, yeah.
Okay,
I'm sorry, they were not running the ball well in that
Okay.
game, but they were also getting everything they wanted.
all I heard was he didn't play well, and I was like, he played really well.
Sorry, he
Okay.
didn't run the
You're
ball
right.
well.
he
My
did
bad.
a lot of running without the ball, and then he caught the ball.
He did a lot of running
Yes.
with ball after a pass. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
I apologize.
Yeah, he caught 5 balls for 135 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Dude had a big day.
Did they have like 4 guys over 100 yards receiving? though?
Yes.
Yes.
4.
I mean,
And Shedeur threw for 510 yards.
I-
But you know, when you look at if you're going to look at just straight up looking at apples to apples and try and compare game to game between what they played and what we played, if you simply mash the numbers together, it's an average game where they probably would have scored somewhere between 27 and 35 points.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at what our defense allowed as opposed to what they put up, they put up the exact same number of rushing yards as we did as we gave up. And they put up like 510 passing yards, but we gave up like 160.
Yep.
So
and those 160 well-earned yards.
this is going to be what looks to be a juggernaut offense meeting what looks to be a really stellar defense. I don't want to call it a juggernaut defense by any means because we also still don't know whether or not Minnesota was real or not. If they are real and they go on to play really well and look good, then we look like a juggernaut defense. But
By that definition, I don't want to call it a juggernaut offense for Colorado either because we know that TCU was bad.
that's fair.
Well, and I mean, yes, in that game, do we know what they're? Again, it's kind of the let's not overreact to one game sort of thing. But yes, based on that, you can probably say they're probably going to be really bad the rest of the year.
The way that they play, like I watched that whole game. I rewatched the entire game after listening to the majority of the second half on the radio. That team might not win 5 games this year.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough
I'm
game.
dead serious. They were bad.
Yeah.
Real bad.
The interesting thing here is obviously the TCU's defense, or lack thereof, fit very well for what Colorado's offense wants to do. What Nebraska's defense wants to do is the exact opposite of what Colorado wants to do.
Yep.
And it's cool that everybody's freaking out about Colorado doing this or doing that.
The 3-3-5 is actually built to go up against an offense like what Colorado's running.
Well, I mean, and technically TCU does run a 3-3. It's just, but it's a different 3-3-5.
Yeah.
It's not a physical 3-3-5 like we have. You know,
Especially with our D-backs.
Holy shit. The big test is going to be, okay, cool. You went against a defense that fits your offense succeeding. What is your offense going to do when you go up against a team that, I'm not going to say that Nebraska will be able to or whatever else. What they want to do is punch you in the mouth. You know,
punch you in the mouth, but also has the back end speed to keep up with those guys.
Exactly. So what is this offense going to do when they go up against a defense that wants to punch you in the face?
Now all of a sudden, those 12-yard catches that turn into broken tackles and touchdowns are just 12-yard catches or not even a catch.
Yeah.
How are you going to handle a couple 3-and-outs? Because they didn't hardly have any of that. And the other thing about this is our defense is not going to a lot of times when we have gone up to Colorado in the past, or even just a few years ago, it was talked about, playing in altitude and this and that and this and that. The thing that I'm worried most about is how winded are our running backs and our offensive linemen going to get, because our defense, it's that offense is make or break.
I think
they're not gonna ground and pound us into having the defense out on the field for a long time.
And I mean, you rewatched the TCU Colorado game, and
it's like this. You can't even skip forward 10 seconds between some of their plays.
One of the narratives that I saw was, Jesus, I totally just brain farted on what I was going to say.
Let me say this, because I sent you this while I was rewatching the game. Colorado's offense looks a lot like what Scott Frost tried to do with Nebraska's offense. The first
you said it was really quick.
It's really they're really fast.
Well, Sean Lewis at Kent State, when he was the head coach, he's the offensive coordinator now for Colorado. He, in all of the years that he was at Kent State for 4 or 5 years, he was in the top 10 of plays per second, basically.
And that's the
fewest amount of seconds per play. He was in the top 10 in the country every single year.
And that's
he is
the way they ran everything in this.
Yeah.
And it was all about keeping the players that were on the field for defense on the field, which is a major tactic when it's 130 degrees outside.
Or when you're in the altitude.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there were quick hitting plays. Everything was quick hitter, and they had the speed to go away from everybody. Everything that we've seen, when I looked at what we saw, what I watched with the TCU game, the mentions that were made about Miles Farmer being slow and not necessarily fitting this system for defense and things like that, it makes me think, looking at what I saw the wideouts and the running back be able to do for Colorado, how having a slow guy in our new defense would be really, really bad for this game.
Yeah.
But that was one of the main things I talked about after the Minnesota game, was how fast our DBs all looked compared to the Minnesota wide receivers, and they don't have sloughs at wide receiver.
No, they're good.
They seemed like they were toying with them.
They seemed, from a speed perspective, like I said, I made mention of Sonic the Hedgehog shoes.
Yeah.
They seemed like they had speed to burn that Minnesota's guys couldn't handle.
4 or 5 different times you mentioned the receivers got ahead, and then all of a sudden we were there to break up the pass.
Yeah. It makes it exciting for me just after watching the TCU game, because that was the biggest thing to me that I didn't understand. All these people freaking out. Colorado smoked TCU. They did so good. Well, first of all, it was a 3 fucking point game.
Yeah.
Well, they did not smoke them.
Yeah.
They got lucky to have the ball last. And when you watch the actual game, it was terrible. It was sloppy.
Mm-hmm.
It was literally like watching 2 high school teams go at it with some college players that came back to play skill position. That's what it looked like. It was sloppy line play. Colorado's lines on both sides of the ball, their offensive line is not near as bad as I expected them to be. They're bigger than I expected them to be. They've got 2 6'9" guys playing tackle. That one's like 310 and one's like 315, so they kind of look a little skinny at tackle, but they're really tall. I think some of our guys, especially at the jack position, are going to be able to eat a little bit because they were slow. But TCU was running these chunky dudes at them. TCU wasn't trying to bring speed around the ends on them. They weren't spreading them out. They weren't doing any of that stuff. It was I didn't realize that they were actually running a 3-3-5 at TCU. That's a great thing for Tony White to get to dissect all week.
Yeah. Well, and did you guys get to listen to Tony White last night on the coaches show?
I did not, no.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that he was, I don't mean this in a bad way, but he sounded pretty confident. Not necessarily like over the top or whatever, but it was.
Mind that out of our defense.
It was kind of more of like, he wasn't like, oh my gosh, yeah, what Colorado was able to do, blah, blah. He was like, yeah. He was kind of, it was more, I guess I shouldn't really say confident. He was very nonchalant.
Yeah.
About, like, okay.
Oh, man. The
vibe, we can do this, and if that doesn't work, then we'll do this. That sort of thing and stuff like that. So
the vibe I was getting off Rhule and everything that he's asked, and every question he's being asked and stuff, is, I'm ready to get out there and prove it.
Well, and that was one of the big things with Rhule's press conference the other day. He said, with all the hoopla surrounding this game, the circus show and all these other things, we're just trying to make this about football. That's
Yeah.
That's it.
And you hear the same thing out of every player that's been out there.
Yep.
This is about football. We're trying to. What did Omar kept saying this? Yeah, we're trying to do the day or something like that.
I'll probably win the day, but
No,
I didn't get a chance to see the players yet either. I've been too.
it was not. I mean, it didn't matter. They all sounded exactly like they have. They all sounded like the coaches, and when it came down to what they were all talking about was just let us get out there and play football.
Mhm.
We've got it. We can't let this turn into a Coach Prime versus Coach Rhule or Nebraska versus Colorado rivalry.
Love that mentality.
This has to be. We're playing football today. They happen to be our opponent.
Yeah.
Get out there and execute the exact same way that we normally would to beat this team.
It's my turn. They need to get out there and do their job.
Is that a Bill Belichick reference?
That's exactly a Bill Belichick reference.
Is that a multiple Super Bowls in the last 10 years reference?
That's a lot of Super Bowls, but that's kind of the mentality that I'm kind of getting. It's you guys can talk about whatever you want. We're here to play the football game.
You know, and a lot of people want to say, well, it's a lot. Everybody's Colorado this, Colorado that, and little disrespect towards Nebraska where they're not talking about them, which I understand why they're not. But we can use that as fuel. I'm not a big use it as fuel, use the bulletin board type. I'm not that, but that's me. I'm just speaking for myself. I would much rather have the mentality of we're just gonna go play football and we're gonna do what we do and see what happens. Like I'm not a big rah guy. I'm just a
I am.
let's just do business.
I'm a raw emotions. Let's get fucking pumped up. I want to fucking go.
To me,
I wish I could go to this Colorado game,
but for me, somebody that is gonna go into, for lack of a better phrase, a fight very calm and relaxed, to me is more dangerous than somebody that is just bouncing around and yeah, let's go, and saying all these other things. Like to me, the silent assassin is so much more deadly than the guy that flaps his gums constantly before the fight starts.
For me, I'm honestly kind of in the middle, and I think some of that is because we've seen so much of that raw emotion energy out of the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And then even more so before that. And so I kind of became
they were getting ice cream.
jaded to you're not wrong, but I kind of became jaded to the whole let your emotions fuel you. Like do it if it can be a positive. But
As long
don't
as
let
you
it be
can
a dead.
control it too, though, that's the big thing.
You know when it's good to let your emotions fuel you? When all of the basics and all the fundamentals and everything you're supposed to do is second nature.
It's all stuff you don't have
Then
to think
you
about.
can let your emotions fuel you.
For sure.
Which is what I think Tony White talked about, or at least Gary Sharp did, or Greg Sharp. I would do that all the time. Greg Sharp's actually a good one, but they talked about how the tackling was for Nebraska against Minnesota, and
Excellent.
one of
Best that we've seen since Bo Pelini left.
they're saying one of the reasons why it was so good, specifically game one, was because of how they practiced leading up to it. They were physical in practices. They actually hit in practices.
It was
They
second nature.
tackled. Again, yes, it was second nature. They knew what they were supposed to do, and they knew how they were supposed to do it.
Yeah.
It didn't come as a surprise.
You know how much easier it is to calculate and let your brain do the calculation on don't over pursue, don't under pursue this guy that's flanking out over here. If you're not also thinking, I need to make sure my hands go just like this. I need to make sure that I square my shoulder
You
pads
just
up
throw
just
my
like
hips.
this. If all those other things are second nature and you can just get out there and be the fucking animal that you've been turned into, let's fucking go.
It's like swinging a golf club. If you're going to sit there and think about it, I got to turn my elbow in, I got to put my hand over here, I got to do this. And if you're thinking the entire time you're swinging, the swing is going to suck. If it's just a natural movement,
You could not
you're going to be just
correct.
fine.
You could not be more correct. The best golf that I play is if I get out of the cart, grab my driver, I'm half cocked, and I walk up there and I'm just cocky and I don't give a fuck. I take my first swing and hit the ball. That's the best drive I got of the day. If I sit back there, I'm gonna stretch out.
If he makes
I
contact,
gotta get everything.
best drive of the day.
Shh.
I think it was Brian Christopherson on the Damon Benning show this morning. He made a comment about, or one of the guys that was talking during that interview, whether it was Ravi Lula, Damon Benning, or Brian Christopherson, they said they were talking about Colorado looking fast, and somebody made the comment of, you can look fast if you're confident in what you're doing.
Yes.
You might not actually be fast, but you're going to look fast if you're confident in what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Nebraska against Minnesota defensively was confident in what they were doing. They looked good. They looked fast.
They did look.
It's going to hurt that we don't have Ty Robinson for the first half.
Yes.
For some reason, when I went back and looked at the game script on like the play-by-play, for some reason I thought I caught that happened in the second quarter, not the third. So when I'm seeing people talk about him missing the first half, I'm like, you fucking idiots. Like, you don't know the rule.
Yeah.
Nope, I'm just a fucking idiot and don't know how to read a game script, apparently.
Whatever. It happens.
But it's going to hurt not having him there
It is.
because I think he was our most consistent pressure in the backfield.
Mhm.
But let some of those young guys step up.
We're going to need him. I mean, if we can hold our water for the first half until he gets in there, and I love that Rhule was like, I told Ty Robinson when he gets in there second half,
You're playing every snap.
you better be ready because you're not coming out.
You're playing every snap is what he said.
You're going to be fresh.
I love it.
You're playing. Like,
Yeah. And we're going to need him by that point, too.
Yeah.
He's gonna be running,
Especially
sprinting
playing
on
it
the
out.
sideline in the first half.
Yes.
Let's jump into our questions about the game. But first, we get a word from our sponsors.
Did you know 1 in 3 young people grow up without a mentor? 33%. You, my big red friends, can help us change that. Join Teammates Mentoring Program, founded in 1991 by Dr. Tom Osborne and his wife Nancy, to inspire students to reach their full potential. It's so simple. Mentors and mentees meet for just 30 minutes a week in school to play games, do crafts, or even just chat. Maybe about Husker football, who knows? You don't have to be an expert, you just have to be there. 94% of all mentees come out of the program ahead of where they were when they went in. It's a win for everybody. Visit teammates.org and become a mentor today.
So let's get into these questions. I'm excited to find out what you came up with this week.
So, based off of our conversation just a bit ago with me going to the game, I just recently added a question just for fun. I'm not going to put this one on the Facebook page. The first question I got for you two, since it's a 10 a.m. kickoff and I probably won't sleep much and I'm going to be drinking super early, over under 5 a.m. for my first shot of Jaeger. And just by the way, remember, I'm going with my cousin who drinks a shit ton of Jaeger with me.
Question.
Okay.
Is this calendar date or is this after you wake up?
Local time, 5 a.m. in Boulder.
No, that's what I'm asking because you might take a shot after midnight.
No. Oh, you're right. Okay.
Is this from
Let's
when you wake up?
let's
Say
say
post 3 a.m.
I was going to say post 4.
Post 3 a.m.
Okay.
Over or under 5
Okay.
for first shot.
That's fair. Yes.
Well,
Okay.
I'll take this one. He's gonna be way under.
I'm going under too because I have a strong gut feeling he's not going to bed.
It's gonna be like 2 a.m. He's gonna be like, "Well, I can't go to sleep now."
Yeah.
Well, I could go to
Shot at
bed.
Jaeger.
Whether or not I go to sleep is a completely different
I
conversation.
just don't see it happening. I don't see it happening.
In fact, I will tell you this right now. I'm gonna be disappointed if we miss this one.
If it hits the over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm taking the under hardcore.
That means you have less than 5 hours to drink before.
You realize now he's gonna fall asleep for like 2.5 hours.
He's gonna get like
He's gonna wake up at like 4:45 and go to pour that first shot. And he's gonna be like,
No,
I gotta beat these fuckers.
wait. You think I'm going to pour it and then think that?
You think he's
No.
gonna wait?
If I pour it, it's going.
He's
down
gonna
my
be like, you know what? I need more ice.
He
I'm gonna
also-
put some more ice.
No.
Pour half the shots that he took.
I was
last
just
time.
going to say, wait a second. I'm not pouring a damn thing.
He doesn't have to share the bottle.
I'm pulling. Well, I share it with my cousin, and we can just go right out of the bottle. But I'm taking the top off and just going. I'm pouring it in my mouth. That's
There you
all
go.
I'm pouring.
There you go.
Yeah, that's gonna be under for sure.
Okay. So real questions. Travis Hunter, we've talked about him a lot. Everybody else does.
Fucking stud.
He's pretty freaking good. We know that he basically played roughly 85% of the snaps at TCU. So there was 166 snaps in Colorado, TCU. There was 125 snaps in the Nebraska-Minnesota game. There's not going to be as many in the Colorado TCU game, and there's not going to be as few in the Colorado or in the Nebraska-Minnesota game. So if we just base this on a roughly 130 to 135 total snaps for the Nebraska-Colorado game, I just figured 85% of that. Over under snaps by Travis Hunter. And I'm going to do this according to Pro Football Focus because there has been some numbers that have come out that have been a little bit of difference. So the number is 110 and a half total snaps by Travis Hunter. It's again.
What'd you say they did in TCU?
It was roughly 85%.
So they ran basically 150 plays in that game.
It was 160 something plays.
160. Okay.
which is a lot.
I am
Again, there's not going to be that many plays in this Nebraska-Colorado game.
No.
But again, there's not going to be as few as there was in the Nebraska-Minnesota game.
Well, here's
It's going to be somewhere in between.
Here's what you have to figure out, right? TCU was able to gash them in the run, but TCU, for some stupid ass reason, did not stick to it.
No.
They could have done nothing but run the ball and scored just as many points. And they didn't have. I'm shocking myself to say this. TCU's offensive line didn't look as good as ours did against Minnesota, and Minnesota's defensive front was far more talented than what Colorado has. That being said, my biggest question is going to be our average yards per carry on the ground. I feel like is going to be north of 5 easily. I don't know if we're going to be able to keep the offense on the field as long as we want to. And they're going to naturally speed the game up just because we're going to score a bunch. I really think that's the way that this game's going to go. I feel like snaps-wise, it's going to be higher than we're anticipating. But from a standpoint of him, I would guess it's 30 less snaps than what the TCU game was. If he's 6 to 85, I'm going to have to take the under
Which
just,
is why
just by math.
My number is based off of roughly 130 total snaps for this game. So that's why I went to 85%. That's what I came up with, 110 and a half.
So he basically already said that all of that. I was just being an idiot and had to talk about myself.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You're
Hey,
talking your way through your
I'm
answer.
going to take the
I don't think you
Under?
actually
Okay.
knew what you were doing until you got to the end of what you were saying.
Well, I
You
just had to work. I had to work out the math by myself.
Like going through a conversation about headphones. Yeah.
That'll be a
7
blooper
minutes.
later.
If
7
only,
minutes
if only you heard the break.
No, I'm landing at the same conclusion, but I'm doing my math a little differently. I think it's going to be under just because I don't think that they're going to have the same opportunities on offense as they had last week. I think our defense is going to control them a little bit more. They have to punt the ball a few times. They're not going to be able to run as many plays simply from the fact that they're not going to be on the field as much.
Yeah.
And so I think that coupled with the fact that whether or not we're gashing them, we're going to be gashing them 5 or 6 yards, not 30 or 40. I just don't see that many plays happening in this game.
Yeah.
And so I'm taking the under 2.
So, I mean, like, am I okay with guessing, roughly 130 snaps on this game?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Again, I based it
No,
off the Nebraska.
that's where I would come in.
I also one other thing that I'm thinking is they aren't going to run him quite that hard every single game.
Yeah.
Not in Colorado State next week, but knowing that he doesn't have to do that at Colorado State next week, he's gonna play a shit ton this week.
They might.
Especially with after Colorado State is USC and Oregon, and
That's also
rest him for those.
The other part of why I'm saying that I don't know that I would even consider him getting over 100 is simply an injury risk factor.
Mm-hmm.
You have a guy playing that many snaps against what is going to amount to be more competitive athletes hitting him, and our whole intention is to hit you once hard enough to make sure you don't want to get hit again.
Yep.
The injury risk factor is a lot higher in this game. The cramping factor was higher with the heat last week. It's going to be gorgeous this week.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to have to worry about getting tired because of that. It's going to be an altitude thing. That's the other thing too that nobody is talking about. Colorado wasn't at home last week. So even though they've been training at altitude and training camp,
Their conditioning was phenomenal because of that.
Even though but they also then went and were out of their altitude element for the last 5 days before this game. So until they went home they were down there for what, 4 days probably?
Yeah.
3 or 4 days?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that's a huge factor, but they're also, it's not
Probably
like they've
3
been on a
days.
homestand of 3 or 4 weeks prior to this game,
Yeah.
coming back into it. I don't think that's going to be as big of a factor, but from an injury standpoint, that's why I'm saying I just don't see him get to 110 and a half.
I agree with literally everything both of you guys said. That's why I'm taking the under as well. Question number 2 is one of the key factors that I think I have 2 questions specifically in here that I think are the key factors to how this game is going to be played out. Missed tackles by Nebraska. So we already talked about it earlier. TCU had 19 missed tackles against Colorado. Nebraska had 6. Nebraska averaged 11.6 per game last year. And TCU last year, in a bad defense still, even though they went to the national title game, they only averaged 7 missed tackles per game last year.
Oh, don't get it
like,
mistaken. Our
that
defense
was-
was bad last year too.
Yes. So I think one of the big keys to this game is how well we tackle. If yes, they're going to get some plays. That I'm not saying that Nebraska's defense is going to shut down Colorado by any means whatsoever, because they are that talented around at the skill positions. So missed tackles by Nebraska, I have it at 11.5 over under. If we can tackle even remotely close to the way we did against Minnesota, we have a great chance of winning this game.
Yeah.
So 11.5
On missed tackles.
missed tackles for Nebraska.
I would go under simply because I truly think it's second nature right now. Our tackling technique is second nature for the first time in probably at least 10 years.
Especially early in the season.
I truly think going back to Bo Pelini, this is an extremely fundamentally sound defense that we saw last week against, like I said, we don't know for sure, but they look like a talented group. Especially, like we said, they had a couple different wide receivers that had transferred in that were talented dudes, and they had a talented running back get in there that we shut the fuck down. I'm going under.
Okay.
I'm going under too. That number feels high to me. I feel like our defense is pretty fucking stout this year, and I don't think Colorado's as good as everybody is sucking them off to be. So
I thought the number kind of sounded a little high as well, but I also don't have enough data points to really go off of.
we don't have a shit ton of data about Colorado, period.
On both sides, whether it's Nebraska or Colorado. I don't have enough data points to really go off of, so I was kind of just going off of what we averaged last year.
Feels like a gift. Thank you, Jed.
Now my question though is, I know we're only 2 questions in, but we agreed on both of them all the way around. So should the numbers be different? But
So you're going under too?
I am actually going under.
I figured you were going to be somewhere around the 9 range. I'll be honest.
I don't know that the number should be different though. Just
I think it's gonna be 9 or 10.
yeah, because they are
I think we're gonna approach the 11.5.
they are superstar athletes. Like
Yes.
they have 5-star dudes at the skill position.
Yep.
And
Yes.
they will expose some. There will be moments where we fuck up bad. But if we're able to tackle the way that we did in the last game, the margin of error there allows for 3 or 4 extra ones because they're good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 6 or 7 for
We
the
had
Minnesota.
6 is what we had last week.
last week.
That'd be pretty unsustainable, in my opinion.
Exactly.
But at 11, doubling that seems like a lot.
I agree. And it's basically a question of because Colorado forced a lot of those missed tackles by TCU. I understand TCU played terrible defense. I'm not trying to excuse anything that TCU did or did not do. But Colorado's athletes also forced some of those missed tackles. So
We have a lot of moving data points coming to clash together. In this game.
exactly.
It's gonna be
I
a
mean,
lot.
it's
That are outlandish.
yeah.
it's one of the things I texted you guys. I think it was last night. I was like, this game is so hard to prep for in week number 2 because we literally know nothing about Colorado outside of one weird game.
That's why I said the most true way to look at the game analytically from a stats perspective, smash them together, divide by 2. That's what you got to do with these. And when you do that, it does not bode well for Colorado.
Because I couldn't go back and I could, but it's irrelevant. I couldn't go back and look at last year's forced missed tackles by Colorado's offense. Number one,
Wouldn't matter.
it'd probably be really low because they sucked. But number 2,
Totally different players.
It
totally
wouldn't
different
matter.
Coaching.
because
Yeah.
nobody is on the team anymore.
Outside of the logo, it's a
So it's
different,
like-
different team.
It's like looking at an actual different team and trying to
Yeah.
kind of guess this
I
stuff.
so I couldn't do that. That's why I was like, I don't know what number to put. So I was like, I'm just going to put what we averaged last year. But anyway,
I'll take the gift.
this one is not necessarily an over/under, but who will have the most rushing attempts? So who will end the game with the most carries?
Between the teams or
Oh,
players?
for Nebraska, I'm sorry. Nebraska players. I apologize. I didn't really ask that question very correct. But So basically, you got Sims, Irvin, Ramir Johnson, Anthony Grant, or somebody else, I guess, or other, I guess, would be the fourth or fifth option.
I'm going to say it like this. In my head, in my heart, I want Irvin to be that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with how porous they are on defense.
Yep.
I'm guessing it'll probably wind up being Sims, just simply because we ran a couple plays last week that Minnesota's defense, which we talked about, was much more stout than what Colorado has to offer. They couldn't stop him.
Yeah.
He was getting 5 to 8 yards every single time they ran that little trap play around the end. Either direction, it didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go with Sims as my answer. I want it to be Irvin so bad.
Yep.
I just want it to be a running back so bad.
That-
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think the scrambles are going to be there again, and from that,
They
he's
even-
going to have
but
the
they-
most attempts.
Rhule talked about that. There was only out of his 19, so he had 6 actual rush attempts that
Yeah.
were not sacks. He had 16 actual rush attempts, and
Like 12
Oh,
of them were
oh,
called
yeah,
or something like that.
12 of them were designed runs.
Yeah.
So it's not like he was out there scrambling.
Or at least bare minimum RPO where he could have handed off, but it's still designed where
Yeah.
he could keep it, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it was his true scramble, which I will be shocked if Colorado gets the type of pressure on us that Minnesota was getting, especially in the second half when they got their 3 sacks.
Yep.
And Minnesota collected those 3 sacks on 2 drives. That was it. So I don't see him scrambling as much. I see him having a lot more time this week, unless they do something dramatically different on defense. But they didn't look talented on the defensive front whatsoever, in my opinion. They have one dude that approaches 300. He's like right at 300.
They still gave up 42 points.
Their ends are like 230, 235. They're small dudes. They're very undersized on the D line.
I think one of the other big things is Nebraska might design plays where he just gets out, like, on a boot or anything else like that.
Can
I get a first down?
And maybe everybody downfield's covered, and that's not technically a scramble, but it's like, hey, nobody's open, so there's a big giant field in front of me. I'm fast. Let's run.
Yeah. And
with
with Castaneda out, there's even more chance that that's going to happen where everybody else is covered.
Yes.
Well, my question is this week when it comes to he made it clear in the press conference, Fedoni and Kemp have to get involved in the offense. They have to find ways to get them the ball.
Yeah.
Is there going to be more of those drag routes where you're going to see, just like what you just described with Sims, where you're going to see a tight end or a Billy Kemp running, basically mirroring him coming across? I'm also looking to see Ramir Johnson do some of that stuff this week. The way that TCU's running back that actually had a good day was running the ball reminded me a lot more of what Ramir Johnson can do. He was smaller. He's super fast. I could see him getting a lot of touches too. At least if they're watching film and saying, okay, well, TCU was really good at this. If they don't shut that down, this is our guy to do that.
Mm-hmm. So my pick is just strictly hopes and dreams. I'm going to go with Irvin. Also, with the way this has been going, it's very boring that we all agree on all these. So I'm glad. I was going to go Irvin no matter what. But
let me ask you this.
I'm also really glad that I'm going Irvin because this is starting to get really boring.
You go ahead.
Let me ask you this question just specifically to the running backs.
Yeah.
How much do you think Grant actually gets on the field this week?
Oh, I think he will.
I think he's there just as much.
You think it's just as much?
Yes.
Because you have to look at how Rhule takes things from other coaches and the way that he treats situations. If you can't hold on to the ball, you can't be on the field. He said that multiple times, and yet we saw Anthony Grant at the end of the game in a 4-minute offense taking those snaps. He didn't hold on to the ball. Ultimately, that fumble cost us the game.
Well,
what you have to look at is he going to trust him? Is he going to put him back out there? Did he have a great week of practice? We don't hear about the great weeks of practice like we used to.
We had
best day of practice ever.
We had 7 practices between then and now.
I agree.
That's 7 opportunities for him to earn his spot back.
So you said just as much. What does that mean? Just as much? Like just as much as Minnesota, or just as much as Irvin, or as far as Grant?
So
because he had 3 more carries than Irvin.
which is only 3. I know that percentage-wise, they didn't actually run the ball that much
Yeah.
to those two, but
That's why I'm asking what
I'm
is just
saying
as much.
just as much as in I think they're going to give him as many opportunities. I think we run
As
the ball
Irvin or as the Minnesota
as
game?
the Minnesota game,
Okay.
and I think we run the ball a bit more this game just because we'll be able to. It'll be easy, but I don't think they're going to remove him from the offensive.
No, I will definitely agree with. I think the philosophy going into this game is to keep Colorado's offense off the field. I think they are going to put a concerted effort into running the ball, or at least attempting to
And
run
that's why I
the ball.
hope it's Gabe Irvin Day.
Yes.
Because he is our big boy. He is our big back. He is our ground and pound.
Totally agree
3,
with you.
4, 5 yards at a time. But, dude, when you look at what Colorado gave up on the ground last week, they gave up an average. Oh crap! Where did it go?
I was actually just getting ready.
I was trying to get
look
dramatic.
at
They gave up an average of 7.1 yards per rush,
Jesus.
and there wasn't like a couple house calls that went for 90 yards that skewed that number. There was one run for 74 yards, and the next one was 27. Like that was an easy. Like I said, TCU could have done nothing but run the ball the whole game and probably won. And that's the type of offensive mindset we need to come into this game with is, like you said, play keep away.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give them the ball any more than you absolutely have to. And you know what? If we're going to let them score on 10 plays or a 5-play drive or a 3-play drive, cool. But only give them 3, 4, 5 opportunities a half. With the new rules and the way that the clock continuously runs, we can take 8 minutes off the clock just getting the opening kick.
Look at us last week. We had 3 possessions in the first half.
Yeah. Play that game against Colorado.
100%.
Colorado's max scoring opportunity is 35 points.
Play that game, but also score on your drives.
Yes.
True. Yes.
Which we should easily be able to do against this Colorado defense.
Yes.
So we almost need to slow ourselves down a little bit if we really think that their defense is that bad.
Yeah.
I said Gabe Irvin.
Yeah. So, like I said, some of it is hoping that they, give.
Again, the shifting data points, we might see a completely different offense than we did last week for Nebraska.
Yeah.
That was a good defense last week. They gave up 42 points to TCU.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be kind of nice if we saw play calls go along the lines of what they said that they actually want to.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
the only thing that's the only backhand that I'm going to give. I said it in the recap of the Minnesota game, but they did a lot of talk about tight ends and running the ball, ground and pound, control the clock. And we didn't see much of it at all. And I don't care if you're not going to do it, but if you're not going to do it and the offense doesn't look good, maybe try doing what you said you were going to do.
So my next question number 4, is my second big key to this game into how Nebraska, in my opinion, can win this game. It's about the tight ends.
Actually using them?
Yes. Well, Colorado's linebackers, I mean, obviously their defense did not play very well.
That was another thing.
Yards and all those other things.
In Deion's press conference, he straight up called out his linebackers.
Yeah.
He's like, our linebackers need to play
Terrible.
better.
They were terrible.
They need to play better. They were not good.
Against TCU's 2 tight ends that they used, they had 7 catches for 75 yards and 1 touchdown. So my question, and I will say before you answer any of these, I have tight end targets, not even catches. The point is just target them to be able to, if nothing else, it softens up other things, that the fact that you might throw to the tight end. So tight end targets 6.5. Obviously it's Fedoni and I know, but I want to say it the Gus Johnson way, Bo Richter. So
What?
Yeah,
I have not heard that one.
so bad.
Oh, that's fucking hilarious. Bo Richter.
And he also called like Nash Hutmacher. He called him like 7,000 different names too. It was really bad. But anyway, so we saw in the Minnesota game Heinrich Haarberg come in as a tight end and catch that one pass. Do we include Haarberg? Because I kind of think that he might get in.
I think he's going to see some time at wide receiver.
I think he's going to see some time at the tight end spot.
I think if they're listed as a tight end, if they're in as a tight end,
So just
count them.
But just listed on the roster as a tight end, or
If they come into the game as a tight end.
okay, so basically we are counting
Yes.
Haarberg. Okay.
Yeah.
So tight ends, That's why I'm asking the question. The
6.5 feels high to me, so I'm trying to pump that number.
I agree with you. That's why I'm not going to change the number either way. But so tight ends, including Harburg, 6.5 targets. What say you?
BJ, you want to fumble your way through this?
I think this is. I think this is a big key because we need not only to take some pressure off the wide receivers, considering the secondary that Colorado has, because that's obviously the strength of their defense. If we can put pressure on their linebackers, not just as far as tight ends go, but we put pressure on their linebackers to maybe come off of to guard a tight end, and then we can run the ball a little bit better up the mid,
or maybe get Kemp involved.
Just basically, occupy the tight ends so they're not in the running game or anything else like that. So I think the tight end game is a big factor in this game.
Talking tight ends, just simply looking at what happened in the Minnesota game, I think you saw Borkacher get his opportunities. You saw him get involved. He was targeted 3 times.
I think twice, but
2 times or 3 times, whatever.
Should have been 3 with
one
that touch,
catch.
with that one, the interception. But yeah,
it made one great catch.
Yeah.
Rhule made a comment in his press conference about how there was a goal line play called for Fedoni, but that he was wrapped up, and he kind of made it sound like, well, we thought he was held, but we weren't going to. I'm not saying that the refs cost us a shot, but that was his only called, the only designed play for him. While you were just talking for a minute, I was kind of trying to think through the stuff we heard about when Wager got released and the rumblings that him and Fedoni were button heads, and how when Rhule first got here and everything was kicking off, Fedoni was the big talking point, and he was a major factor. And then all of a sudden,
he was at the podium a lot.
You saw things cool off tremendously over the summer, and Fedoni still was. They're still taking pictures of him. That he still looks absolutely jacked out of his mind on the field. He looks like an Adonis chiseled sculpture.
Do you need us to leave the room?
And you're not. No, but the point that I'm getting to is you're not seeing that translate to opportunity. You're not seeing that translate to what you would expect from the types of things we're hearing from Rhule back in the spring, and the types of things that we should expect from a superstar, 5-star stud type wide receiver, or not wide receiver, tight end like Fedoni. I wonder if he's had limited opportunities because he's butted heads with the coaching staff and they haven't liked it. That's my question on that. But at the same time, I think if we don't start getting him opportunities, how much more is that relationship going to deteriorate? Do you have to feed him or not?
Well, I think if it was that bad, he would be on the field.
But I agree with you, but he also basically wasn't on the field last week.
I mean, he was. He had a lot of good blocks, but
if you're coaching off of emotion, instead of just getting the best guy the ball,
get the fuck out of here.
That's a different conversation.
I agree with you, but targets are a different thing when it comes to that. That all being said, I truly think, based on what Rhule has said this week in his press conferences and in his coaching show, tight ends is going to be a major factor in this game. I think 6.5 is, even at just 3 apiece, and maybe Heinrich Harburg gets in for 1 or 2, trick plays, whatever it might be. I think we easily get to 8. So I'll take the over.
Okay.
Really tired of agreeing with him on this show. Everything he said makes sense. It's what I wanted. I wanted him to talk through it because he's been doing that pretty well tonight. Fuck, I'm taking the over too.
I really wanted you to take the under because, unfortunately,
I'm going to tell you this. I'm taking the over mostly because I think our offense is going to do more this game too. There's going to be a lot more opportunity outside of 0 points in the first half.
Those 2 dudes are also our biggest threat at the goal line. They're our biggest
threat
to score.
And like Jed said, outside of their D-backs, they don't have a good defense.
No.
So
front seven's garbage.
We should
less
be
than
able,
10-yard passing
Here's
plays.
the other thing is the pass off. The pass off to the linebackers that Billy Kemp should be getting on some of those drag plays and some of those crossing. He should easily be able to get open on a couple of those too. Those guys are built like bowling
Let's get some, as the offense calls them, rub routes, as the defense calls them, pick plays. Let's get some of those involved. Get some people open. Yeah.
All of it. And if Billy Kemp does not get involved this game, I'm taking all of his posters down in my room.
What about your Billy Kemp sheets? Are you taking those off your bed or no?
Those are expensive. I'll probably keep those for a little bit. But
Those also might be stuck to the bed by now.
Yeah, that's true. They're a little crusty.
No comment.
I'm taking the over. It's kind of one of those where like I took Gabe Ervin for most rushing attempts based on hope that I hope that that's how this game goes. I'm taking the over based on hope that I hope that that's how this game goes with the tight end targets.
I feel
So
you're not necessarily a hope guy. I feel like you kind of expect some of this stuff to happen in this game.
I really want to see these things happen. Like basically, I'm going to send all this stuff to Rhule since I met him. In
Yeah,
Minneapolis.
they're boys now.
We're best friends.
It's documented, man.
They were jogging together.
They were. They went on
No,
a
I don't
morning jog.
I don't run.
You
I
don't jog in a full suit.
Fuck no.
It was a brisk walk. It
I
was a
don't
brisk
jog at all. It's like
It was also cut off sleeves. Come on, man. That was his workout gear.
question number 5. This will go towards a conversation we were having before we started recording with the freshman wide receivers. With Isaiah Garcia Castaneda unfortunately gone for the rest of the year with a torn ACL, it limits our wide receivers even more than it already was.
Yeah, our preseason, who was going to be the MVP wide receiver, we all took either Xavier Betts or IGC.
Yeah.
So that
I
question,
took that.
that question is
I
fucked.
took that.
know.
You guys didn't.
I'm pretty sure I took him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I thought you were also on.
Which
Betts.
means easy win for me.
Yeah,
Unless every
Jesus.
game he is what he did last game, which
yeah. He literally has to catch
come on, buddy.
one more ball and he's fine.
Jesus.
Well, it wasn't a competition between the 3 picks of ours. He has to lead the team though. So
Oh, that's right. That's
Come on, buddy.
Come on, man. So what was the actual
So
question?
I haven't gotten to it yet. So like I said, our wide receiver room is getting limited and limited and limited as the weeks go on, unfortunately. So the question is receptions by freshman wide receivers. Matt Rhule, after he announced that IGC was gone for the rest of the year, he said it's basically going to be all hands on deck. So we have the big time wide receivers like Malachi Coleman, Jaden Doss, Jalen Lloyd, and others, but
Let him loose.
exactly. Receptions by freshman wide receivers. I kind of think this number might be a touch high, but I'm going with 4.5 receptions.
4.5.
Over.
Holy shit.
Freshman wide receivers.
I'm gonna go under.
If you're going over immediately, you don't think the number's too high?
I don't think the number's too high.
Okay.
I'm gonna go under simply because of this. I think we are going to throw the ball minimally. We are going to keep Jeff Sims in position to make as few mistakes as humanly possible because he needs that confidence builder game. We also need to hold on to the ball when we have the opportunity. We do not need to give them any short fields. Maybe throw a couple over the top if Malachi can get out there and get open because that dude is a deep threat, a real deep threat. But also the other two that you named off, Doss. I mean, those guys are those track athletes that speed kills speed. You put those guys out there and match them up with Hunter and with the other couple of superstar speed guys they have in their DB line. They're already missing a safety. God, I'm talking myself into the fucking over now.
I know.
I said it first.
They're already missing a safety. I mean,
That doesn't mean nobody
they
else
don't
can.
have a ton out there.
I'm more right.
And I don't know what style of players those other two freshmen are. Malachi's an outside guy.
Yeah.
But those other two, I'm pretty sure they're a little smaller. They might be more slot type, but they're fast as shit. So if we can catch them in open field, do kind of a Tyreek Hill type style play, I don't know, man.
You already said it.
I feel like I'm.
Hold on, Matt. Let me talk him into an over. Watch this.
I think he's already there.
I know he's teetering.
Just
Watch
give him a
this.
little tip action.
So here's the thing, though. You talk about matching speed on speed. I think that it'll be a Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders are going to be matching up against Billy Kemp, Marcus Washington, Alex Bullock, our experienced guys. Not that Alex Bullock's super experienced, but he's a sophomore. He's one of our starters, all that stuff. At least he's a starter now.
Dude we've had so far.
Yeah. So you've got those 3 guys specifically. I think Sanders and Hunter are going to be matched up on those guys first and foremost, and then any freshman wide receiver that comes in is going to be matched up on somebody else. So I don't really know that it's going to be like a Hunter speed against a Jaden Doss or a Jalen Lloyd speed.
Even if it is, it's only one.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, he said speed versus speed. Obviously I'm guessing you're talking about Sanders and Hunter.
Yeah.
I think those guys are going to more match up against our older, experienced players. Then you bring in these freshman guys that I think are going to get matched up on other people, not just Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders.
Well,
So BJ's taking the.
I'm taking the over. I got talked into it simply because I truly think that we're gonna need them.
Yeah.
That's
This
fucking
also
100% it.
seems like a game that Malachi is made to break out in.
I hope so.
Like this seems like a Malachi Coleman show. He was, they were the team that we were worried about stealing him away.
Mm-hmm.
They were the team that was bringing him out to pose in front of Lambos and do all that shit and left it up to the last moment whether or not we were going to get him or he was going to go across the border. It's one of those, he has the size, he has the speed, he has the ball skills. That's one of the big things about Travis Hunter that if you looked at a couple of the plays that he made in the TCU game, he had the pick that he had in the end zone where that ball was in the wide receiver's hands before it was in his. He just straight snatched it out.
Yeah.
And he has some sick ball skills. He goes up and he went over top of a dude. He straight up Randy Moss the guy, and he's not Randy Moss size. Randy Moss the guy in the end zone to get his touchdown. If he's not going to be on a Marcus Washington the entire game, I could see this being a Malachi Coleman go out there, show off your you made the freaks list for freshmen for freshmen this year across the country. Go out and show off that freakish athletic ability. Go mano a mano with the dude that everybody's talking about as the next Heisman winner right now.
Yeah, you literally nailed it at the very beginning. We need these guys.
Yeah.
I got so excited.
Throw the ball. I keep coming back.
I got so
I agree with
excited
you. I agree with you.
When Rhule said it's all hands on deck because we've got a ton of talent. They're just young. I get it. You want to keep them, but if they're as talented as we think they are, they're not going to be here long enough to fulfill a full 5 years anyway. So get them on the field, get them the experience, and start actually being able to throw the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Castaneda went out. I didn't know if we were going to throw a single pass this entire game coming up. But if we can get some extra talent in there, Coleman is phenomenal down the field.
Yeah.
And that opens up the field for everybody else. That's what we need.
So I know
I'm taking the over, by the way.
I've already had a couple picks where I did my pick based on hopes. Yes, I hope for the over. But I agree with you more as far as what you said previously to you flipping is I think limited pass attempts. I also think another thing Rhule talked about was the benefit of having a full go Marcus Washington where he's not suspended for the first half. I think he is our number one. I'm sorry to burst your bubble on the Billy Kemp thing, but I think
Hey,
Marcus
he didn't catch a pass last week. I think we're okay.
He was also he was only in for the second half, as I mistakenly said.
No,
there was somebody even called me out on the YouTube comments.
Oh, really?
And they were like, "Yeah, the big guy in the back, he was dead wrong. Marcus Washington was not, or
It's all right.
Marcus Washington was once suspended." And I was like, "He was dead wrong."
Yeah. Well, and I'm not trying to talk shit about the guy that pointed out. Yeah, you've never been wrong before either, so it happens. Whatever.
I'm not trying to talk shit.
No, I'm kidding. We're all
I'm trying to talk shit, but let me back up the Brinks truck and dump in your mouth, bro.
If you've watched or listened to the show, you know these are all just jokes. Relax.
Folks.
I'm going with the under just because I don't know that there's going to be enough opportunities for 5+ receptions for between those three guys. I think there's going to be chances of some of those guys maybe making some rushing carries, like a jet sweep motion type thing, stuff like that.
I could see some of that.
I think they could carry the ball in one way or another more than 4.5 times. As far as catches, I'm just going to go slightly under on that one.
I'm going to kind of look for, and this will kind of determine a lot of it, I'm going to look for a bit of a domino effect. If we can get one or two of them involved early in the game,
I agree with that 100%.
I think we make that adjustment and we go to them more in the second half.
Completely agree with it.
If we have Malachi Coleman out there, and I keep bringing him up because he's a size mismatch.
Yes.
For almost
No matter what.
Yeah.
And he's
Especially
only
against
listed
Colorado
at,
defense.
I don't even remember what he's listed at. He's like 6'3" or 6'4", something like that. When he stands next to the rest of the wide receivers, he makes them look like dwarfs. especially Billy Kemp.
Not just height-wise, he's just a big
He's
fucking
huge.
body.
He is absolutely
Yeah.
huge. He looks like he's probably only 10 to 20 pounds away from being able to move over to tight end.
Yeah, he's a big.
But he also runs a 4.4.
That's the cheap
And
shot,
so-
by the way. Billy Kemp looks small compared to the punter.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You ain't wrong there. I don't know. I don't know if we'll need him that early, because I think we're going to be able to run the ball pretty much whenever we want to, however we want to. But if we can get a mismatch, if like Jez said, their good players on defense are being taken up by some of our other more starter type guys, we can get a mismatch where he's out there going up against a corner that's 5 inches shorter than him, or he's getting picked up by a safety that's 6 inches shorter than him, and he can just dunk on him every single time. Hell yeah, he's going to grab probably 6 balls in this game.
Yeah.
It's going to really depend.
And he could have a coming out party, and we could have a superstar on our hands.
Coming out party. No, it really depends on that first half, I'll be honest. Or the first drive of the third quarter.
Yeah.
If we get past that and we haven't really seen anything from him, we're not going to in this game.
Question number 6. Speaking of your boy, same question as last week, but I lowered the number because of what happened last week. He
Or
only had
didn't happen.
he only had 8 punt return yards. So total punt return yards by Billy Kemp. Is he going to get to 15 yards? 14 and a half. He had 2 returns for 8 yards last week. And I know different scenarios, different game plan, whatever else. Colorado punted 3 times to TCU. TCU did not return one of those 3 punts, so they had 0 yards. I don't know if, again, very minimal data points, so I can't say, does that mean Colorado's punt game is really good? Who the fuck really knows, because that game was weird. And
They
it's
also,
just one
I
game,
hope,
so who
will
knows?
punt more than 3 times.
I agree with
Yeah.
you.
They didn't hardly have to punt.
Also, we're talking about altitude. The punts might be longer. He might not have opportunities because they might go in the end zone.
I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but I'm pretty positive they do kick rugby style. They do punt rugby style, which tends to lend itself to less return opportunity. And you said it at what? 8.5?
15.
14 and a half.
14
So
and
he
a
kind
half.
of gets 15.
Ah, fuck it. I'm going over.
Well, that settles it.
I'm just doing it. I don't. I got a good feeling, man. I got a good feeling, and this is Billy Kemp or punt return.
Just Billy Kemp.
Okay,
Just Billy Kemp.
He's going to be the guy back there.
That's why.
but he at least seems like it for now. I mean, fuck the way that Ramir Johnson ran out that kick return. Oof.
Yeah.
If he can catch a punt, you might want to put him back
Well,
there.
Outside of one game last year, he had more punt return yards than the rest of our games last year. So
What?
he had 8 in our first game. We didn't ever return a punt previously.
Oh,
So,
You're not wrong.
outside of one game, he
Yeah.
covered 11 games
mean-
last year.
I mean, he had 2 punt returns against Minnesota. We had 5 all of last
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
So,
It's the willingness
Yeah.
to try, though,
yes.
that I absolutely love. And you know what? That willingness to try got us down to the 45-yard line or the 40-yard line with Ramir Johnson against Minnesota in a game where that kick no way ever gets brought out.
Yep.
I don't think we ever bring a kick out ever.
I
Based on the new rule and being able to get it to the 25 just like the NFL, I don't think Scott Frost ever would have tried.
But I also got so excited every single time I saw that happening because I was like, he's fucking returning it. It never went anywhere, but
I'll take the over. I'm gonna take it.
I also kind of have a good feeling about it because I think they're going to punt the ball more. I'm taking the under just because I want to be wrong. I
They're-
really want to be wrong.
They're gonna have to punt the ball more. In my opinion, I think they'll punt the ball more. But they're also, it's not gonna be a ton more because we're gonna limit their number of offensive possessions as well with our offense. But they're also going to wind up like they don't have enough stud athletes to put them out there on special teams.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So when that coverage team gets down there, it's
Some
not
of them are already playing both sides of the
yeah,
ball.
it's not going to be full of all the superstar starters. There might be some starters out there, but they ain't their studs.
Yeah.
There might be some of those linebackers. But yeah, I think he'll get the opportunity to eat if we do make them punt 5 or 6 times in this game.
And he really just needs one.
True.
So
Yeah.
I agree with you. I kind of have a better feeling about it this week than I did last week. But I'm just taking the under so that I can gladly take a loss on that one.
I am
Gladly take a loss.
somewhat reluctantly taking the over only because of what you kind of said as far as
Shit.
what you said as far as there's going to be more opportunities, but at the same time, I was very emphatic on taking the over last week on 29.5. I'm going to take the over again, but if it does not go over 14.5, and this question comes up the following week, I'm taking the under. So it's kind of like, prove it to me, damn it.
Yes. Prove it. Absolutely prove it.
Question number 7 is going to be the exact same thing as last week. Jeff Sims total yards, 224.5.
I'm going way over on
He had
this.
205 last week. We already talked about how at Georgia Tech in 3 years he averaged 224.7.
He had
So,
205 last week against a real defense.
but it was also 205. He would have gotten over without the 3 sacks.
Yeah.
So, technically speaking, he went over.
No,
But because of the
wouldn't-
rules.
he didn't lose 20 yards in sacks. He would have had 106 rushing yards, but with the sacks, it was like 93.
Oh, he wouldn't have. I thought he had like 114, and then he had like 91. But anyway, you're right.
It was
He
not
wouldn't have-
20 yards. I know
Okay. Okay.
that. Because I remember looking.
Okay.
at
So
I
he
don't
would
have
have
the
he would have gotten a lot closer. Okay.
Yes, he would have been closer. I am going to go reluctantly over, citing back to my rushing guess
Oh,
in which player, just simply because even though my heart wants me to go with a running back to have the most rushes in this game, I think it's probably going to be him. I could see him putting up 100 yards rushing before halftime.
okay. So you said over.
Over big.
Big.
Minnesota has a much better defense
Mm-hmm.
than Colorado does. And he was 22 yards from it, 21.
From well, yeah. I mean, he was a
Hitting
handful.
that over. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Even with the sacks and all of that, he still missed it by less than 30.
Yeah, he had 91 yards rushing all in total, even excluding the sack yards.
Yeah.
Against a good disciplined front seven.
Yes.
So I'm going way over.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the over as
A
well.
Big Ten defense.
I'm gonna go with the over as well because I mean, even though I picked Irvin to have more rushing attempts, I think Sims could break 1 or 2.
Well, not to mention, I think that we're going to get an opportunity to break a couple pass plays open.
I hope so.
At least we should.
Tight ends, remember? I said tight ends, please.
Honestly, you could put this number at 250, and I'd probably be happy with that.
I was
I'd still go
thinking
over.
about raising it, but I was like, well, he didn't reach the number last week, so I was
that's
like,
hard.
And he doesn't have a history of reaching it even against bad defense.
that too. So again, the data points. We've kind of
Yep.
talked about this a lot. Like this game is kind of hard because we don't have a whole lot of data points to really put numbers to them. So that's why I just stuck with the 224.
That's also, I hope that this game works out so that these bet points that you picked are as obvious as they feel.
I agree. And that's what it should have been last week too. But
Considering
Whatever.
his turnover problem last week, do you have any thought about the fact that if he comes in this game and we have a couple turnovers already because of stupid mental errors by him in the first half, do you see a world where they bring in a Harburg or a Chuba for a series?
I really don't. Not
Not in this game.
yet. Not yet.
I would need
you
to
know.
know how ready they are.
And I don't think that they are.
But my argument there is, how ready is he if he's got 5 or 6 turnovers by halftime of the second game of the season?
Well, I mean, you're 5 or 6. That's a different conversation.
He's already got 3. If he's got 2 or 3 by halftime, that's 5
No,
or 6.
I thought no. I'm sorry. I thought you meant 5 or 6 in this game.
No.
I
Total.
Okay,
Jeez,
sorry.
But total on the
That's
season.
why I was like, okay.
But I'm simply saying he already has 3 interceptions.
Oh, did you put that?
And if he winds up with 2 or 3 in the first half of this game, you're looking at a guy who has no touchdowns and 5 or 6 turnovers already.
Yeah, no. Well, he's
That's-
got 1 touchdown. He had 2 touchdown pass against.
Oh,
Nebraska.
right.
But yeah.
Still, I see your point. I can maybe see Purdy getting in there. I don't see Harbaugh being ready. Or Harburg, sorry.
I think any part of any replacement is more like 4 or 5 games into the season.
Okay.
In my,
I'm not,
that was
I'm
my
not trying to start that conversation.
Absolute-
'cause
I
think
agree
it's
with
a
you,
Dumb
but-
conversation. But my big thing is not turning the football over winning third downs and winning the turnover battle are the two primary things that Rhule has pointed to about how you win a football game.
Yep.
And if you're going to continue to put the ball in the hands of a guy who's turning it over 3 times a game or more, you're going against what you're saying.
I agree.
Well, I'll tell you this, and I don't know necessarily about the coaches, but Husker Nation will definitely be calling for it if that happens.
You mean they already are, but yeah. I mean,
It'll be loud, is my point.
Yeah.
This defense is so
bring
bad.
back Casey Thompson.
I don't see that happening because I don't see Colorado being good enough to do that.
Yeah. Well, I see them good enough to do interceptions.
You throw it Travis Hunter,
Yeah,
you got a really fucking good chance of getting that ball.
Don't throw Travis Hunter. He's one player.
No, I agree with that, but yeah. Their secondary is definitely good enough to take the
Sims is smart enough to know where he is on the field. Know what his options are.
Hopefully.
You're right.
Might not matter. We might be running the ball nonstop and it not matter.
Again, hopefully.
So
there's a lot of hope.
Either way, like I said, I would be comfortable at 250 with him.
I get it, but I'm going to keep it at 224 just because of history and everything else.
Prove it.
As the season goes on, I'll hopefully be able to raise that number. Yeah, I think we reached our quota on hopefully. I think that was the...
Yes.
Just going to give you one of these.
Question number 8. This is my second to last question. Shedeur Sanders, passing yards. I know he went over 500 last time. He averaged 288 per game last year at Jackson State. He averaged 250 2 years ago at Jackson State. I don't think that he's going to approach 500. I sure as fuck hope he does not approach 500 again this week. I'm going to put the number at 324.5 passing yards.
Just passing yards?
Just passing yards. That's why I said 324 passing yards.
BG, you want to take this?
Nope, go for it.
Under.
Go for it.
Under. I have a lot of faith in our defensive backs.
I agree with that.
Yes, do I think they have some talent? Absolutely. Them being Colorado. But I think that we're actually a lot more equipped to match them in this game. And I think we're going to force their offense, if they want to move the ball, to be more creative than they were last week.
You said 324?
324.5.
Okay. If you do what I talked about and you just smash our data together from our last 2 games, from our last games for both teams, you come out to an average of 312. So I'm going under. Okay. Just simply because of that fact. I think that Colorado is going to have to figure out how to slow their offense down a little bit to give their defense a little bit of a breather, because otherwise it's literally going to turn into a 5 yards in a cloud of dust game, and they might get 2 shots on offense at both halves.
I hope so. Jesus Christ.
I'm just saying, like, the way that Colorado's defense is, we have enough running backs and enough offensive linemen to keep it fresh enough that it looks like a 1970s Oklahoma game. It could turn into that type of a situation because Rhule is smart enough to just say, cool, hey, we're going to take away your nice toys.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to take away your nice toys. We're not going to let you play the game that you played last week and try and run the score and act all wild and crazy. It's not going to happen. So I will take the under. I think that he will probably struggle a little bit this week. I think he probably throws a pick or two and gets a little rattled on maybe a strip sack type of situation, gets exposed just a little bit. I mean, if you listen to Deion's press conference, they have 4 or 5 Heisman contenders on that team. So,
well, yeah, again, they're going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I'm starting to think that the title of this episode should be Hope or Hopefully, because we're saying a lot of hopes and hopefullys.
We're talking about a fucking game that's gonna happen in 3 days.
Realistic.
I'm just saying this word just keeps coming up because I'm gonna say it again. I answered 2 questions on this is what I hope happens, and I'm gonna do it again this time. I think there's one of 2 options on here. Either they're gonna go way above 325, or well below 325.
You said he averaged less than 300 at Jackson State?
288 last year. And 250 2 years ago.
And he was balling out last year.
Yeah.
Against terrible fucking opponents.
Yeah.
With with
Travis Hunter didn't.
Travis Hunter was still there.
He didn't play completely both ways. He only played in 8 games last year, and he only
On
had,
offense or on
yeah,
defense?
on offense. Well, he played 8 games total last
Oh,
year.
gotcha. Okay.
But he wasn't the offensive guy, at least that we've seen in one game against TCU. He didn't play both ways as much at Jackson State.
Okay.
So this is a major uptick from what he has been. He played sparingly on offense last year, but he wasn't like all.
I'm sorry, but you're not going to play 130 fucking snaps every week. You
No.
can't.
No.
The human body won't allow that.
No.
Not the way that this game is played.
Yeah.
Even at 20.
Yeah.
I think 325 is a generous number. I have full faith in our defense to keep him under 300.
I'm going to go with the under. But that's what I'm saying. Like, if it goes over, I think it's going to go way over, and I think it's going to get stupid.
I think we should.
I think it's meltdown mode.
Yeah.
I think we should replace a lot of the hope in this podcast is with I expect this to be this way.
Yeah. I didn't mean hope in a bad way. I'm just.
No, I get it. But
We could also be sitting here beating our chests and be dead ass wrong about everything, and that's the fun part.
I
Yeah.
think being very realistic.
Wait, we're not experts. I thought somebody
Hey,
said we were
just
experts.
disclaimer: we're not experts. So when one of you decides to be a cunt bucket and jump into the comments and I thought you guys were experts. What the fuck are you talking about?
Whoa,
Hey, we are not experts.
he's not even drinking tonight.
I will.
No, we are not experts by any stretch of the imagination. We are 3 dudes who like to drink and talk football and nerd out on some stats.
Yep,
that is
that's-
all we are.
Exactly. we're also pretty real about the game. We can accept
Yeah.
when we're bad at something.
Yeah.
We were not bad last week.
No.
TCU was bad last week.
Yes.
It's going to be a very different
we are
game
expert,
for Colorado.
We are experts in the fact that we have eyes and we watch the games well enough to know that we played well against Minnesota.
Yeah.
And we don't need to fire our coaches.
Going to
That's
be-
as far as I'll call us experts.
Hell, I would say I'm not going to speak for you guys. I'm not even an expert in my own mind. There are 3 other voices up here that are far more experts than what comes out of my mouth.
Well,
And one of them is just that's the alter ego Sugar Walls. and is just thinking about Matt all day. So
Well, I definitely do that, but I'm not Sugar Walls.
speaking of which, hi Sugar Walls. Matt,
Last,
say hi.
you want to blow her a kiss?
Her, him, whoever it may
Yeah.
be.
My last question I have, this is a question that, BJ, you brought up to me because I was looking for another question. I modified it a little bit, like I told you. Number of guys for Nebraska with 100-plus total yards, not including passing yards. So basically, Jeff Sims is out on this question. So
He's not out. He could rush for 100 yards.
I guess, yes. So when you're just doing rushing and receiving yards only, number of guys with 100-plus total yards, I put the number at 1.5.
I am going to go with over simply because of the fact that I feel like at least one of our running backs is going to get there on the ground. There's going to be, and if I had to guess, it's probably going to be Ramir Johnson.
Okay.
I think he's going to get some opportunities. Like I said,
Both
he
passing and rushing.
He fits, yeah, and we're doing total yards. It doesn't have to be
Yes.
one or the other. And so he fits the mold of what that TCU running back
Specifically, Ramir Johnson, he is a threat on both sides of that.
Yeah.
That's
and that TCU running back I'm talking about, Imani Bailey.
yes, he's really
he had
good.
14 carries for 164 yards, and he had a long of 74 on one of them. But that's still a great average, even if you subtract that 74 out. The dude was running on him. He was running on him hard. But it was more about his speed, and Colorado was just giving him open lanes. So if we can open up some of that stuff, and if he can catch a couple quick balls out of the backfield, I mean, that's the way we're going to have to play this game. And I see him having a big day. I truly think that Gabe Ervin should have a big day. Unless there's something else wrong with him, which is why maybe he didn't get enough snaps last week. I don't know, but I think he should have a big day. I could see at least one wide receiver having a big day, especially if we break one nice one. Malachi Coleman, get out there and make yourself
a lot
a
of
big
stuff
day.
kind of hinges on what we do with those freshmen.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I think if we can get them involved early, they will be involved a lot, and then that over hits pretty easy. For some reason the number of 2 was in my head before you said what the over was or what the number was.
There was a part of me that wanted to say 2.5, but I think that's too easy of an easy. Oh no, wait. I'm sorry. I was talking my way through this with a couple of buddies. I did not want to put this number at 1.5, and I'm sorry. I'm going to probably maybe change your answer. I wanted this to have 3 options. I'm going to put the number at 2, so the possibility of a push.
Push. That's where my number is.
I'm taking push over.
Okay.
Push over.
You got to pick one.
Yeah, you got to
You
pick
don't have to
one
pick
of
one.
those 2.
Push
Hey,
over.
hey, you pussy.
That's
pick
why
one.
you said it. That's why you said it 1.5 or 2.5. You don't need no pushes.
Okay.
I'm not
so he
picking one number.
He put it at 2.5. What are you picking?
Thank you, Matt.
I think I'll still take the over because I think
So
I
he's
think
going.
Jeff Sims gets 100 yards on the ground maybe by halftime. I really do.
And I think that's completely possible. I'm taking the under if it's at 2.5.
Push. No, 2.
No,
Putting it
no,
2.
no.
Okay.
I'm saying 2.
Okay.
I think we could have some guys get close, especially a couple of those freshmen. Maybe not a couple, but one of those freshmen. I think we're going to spread the ball around quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So
If we play the game the way I
Who's
think
my
we
number?
should, if we play the game the way I think we should, we will have at least 2 running backs over 75 yards easily, probably 2 running backs over 100 yards.
Love it.
You get one wide receiver that breaks one long one and catches a couple other balls, and Jeff Sims just does Jeff Sims stuff. This is a 3 or 4 guys over 100 yards. We have to score. We're going to have to score probably 30 points in this game in order to win, which is going to involve yards.
I'm not convinced in that, I'll be honest.
No. Either way, we're gonna have to move the football up and down the field in order to take their offense off.
I think if we score 30, we definitely win. I don't know that we will score 30.
Let's get to that in a minute.
I didn't pick my thing yet.
That's why I said let's get to your projections here in a minute. Jesus, Jed, jumping the gun. So sorry.
I thought you were moving on.
No.
Took over.
I'm taking the over for that.
So I don't think that anybody's going to get over 100 receiving yards because what you said, we're going to throw the ball around to multiple different people.
At least I hope.
And maybe even if one person breaks one open, I don't think that means that they're going to get over 100 yards. They can get like 60, 70 yards.
I think Billy Kemp catches like 7 or 8 balls this
Shut
game.
the fuck up.
I'm dead serious.
Just shut the fuck up.
I think Matt.
Let me put my shield up because
This
I think
table's
he's about
level.
to.
I think Matt's going to be sitting on my couch in a puddle of cum by the end of this game.
You better put a sheet over that couch and
sitting right there.
Yeah. You got so hard, didn't you?
And Sugar Walls is going nuts right now.
You didn't see this table raised up just a little bit?
Oh my God.
So I don't know that anybody's going to go over 100 yards receiving. I do think that we're going to get one of our running backs to a total of over 100 yards. So basically, my question is, will
What does
Sims get over 100 rushing yards? You said push over. I put you down as over, by the way, because of how he did.
He moved it to 2.5. That's fine with me.
That's
going over.
I mean, if you're going to go the over on 2.5, then I'm going to say
you
put
can't pick
yeah.
two things. So he
exactly.
took the over. I took the push.
So
no push.
Yeah, no, that's
That's
one of
over
the
on that.
options.
You've got 3 or more. I have 2.
Yeah.
Nerds.
So I will say it this way, but I will pick one of the two. I would go push under.
You're
Because
taking the under.
I would go 1 or 2, but I'm going to go with the push because I think Sims can get to 100 yards rushing. I think we can get a running back to 100 total yards with receiving and rushing, like what you said with a possible Ramir Johnson type.
Yeah.
But I think Sims, if he can get 91 yards against Minnesota, then he can get over 100 yards. I'm not saying he should. I'm just saying he can get over 100 yards against Colorado. So I'm going to go with the push. More than likely, probably under, but I'm going to officially pick push.
Cool.
That's all I got for you.
That's all you got for me?
That's all I got.
Well, as far as this game is concerned, it is looking glorious when it comes to the weather.
Yep.
11 a.m. kick, like we talked about. It is the Fox Big Noon game. The who's who of celebrities that are associated with Deion Sanders are supposed to be in attendance. There's supposed to be a lot of big time NFL guys there. There's an underground rumor that Tom Brady's going to be sideline. He's Shedeur Sanders' new guru, quarterback whisperer guy.
He apparently texted him after the TCU
Yeah,
game.
don't be satisfied.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Tom.
Cool.
You made me hate you for the first time ever.
Wait, is that a picture reference?
No. This is a traitor. This is a Trader reference. Remember, he's a Buckeye, or he's a Buccaneer now.
Jesus, he didn't go to Ohio.
Uh,
Shit, he's a Michigan guy. You just
Jesus.
put him at Ohio State.
he deserves to be called a Buckeye. Yeah.
You're about to get
Hear
assassinated.
me right now. Tom Brady, go fuck yourself. You won a Super Bowl for the wrong team, and now you're rooting for the wrong team in Colorado.
And you're a
Fuck
Buckeye.
Yeah.
And you're a Buckeye. So-
BJ's trying to get
so-
assassinated with.
Suck a dick. It's
No, we're experts.
like
Yeah, absolutely.
like-
Jesus.
like we've talked about. This game started out preseason. Vegas had Nebraska as an 11.5 point favorite.
Mhm.
Right after the games, it shifted down to Nebraska 2.5. Right after the Colorado
Colorado,
TCU
yeah.
game closed out, shifted down to 2.5. And it had declined during the game that Colorado was beating TCU. So and it's in Colorado, so they're getting 3-point home dog favorite there anyway. And so much money's been dumped on it against what Vegas is predicting on Colorado that it shifted over now to a +3 Nebraska. I love this just from a gambling standpoint. It is a fucking pure true value bet dumping on Nebraska for this because Vegas has said these are the points we expect. And now this is where we are. And they don't get, sure. They had a nice big old bait, make a fat ass ton of money on the spread for the TCU game. They got that way wrong.
They sure whiffed on the Baylor game last week.
They get stuff wrong sometimes, but
That's
not
like
usually.
a 40-point swing.
They don't usually get a team wrong 2 weeks in a row.
No.
Yeah.
And you're essentially looking at a +5.5 value on the Nebraska bet, with Nebraska still winning by 3.
Yep.
So you're looking at 8.5 points to play with here all day. I take Nebraska. I take the points. I take Nebraska in a win in convincing fashion over a team that gets exposed because they are nothing but flash.
So just before you go, Matt, convincing fashion, is that double digits?
Yeah.
Or basically a high one score,
What does
maybe-
your score
in-
look like?
maybe 2 scores with 8 or 9 points.
I think that maybe Colorado scores a couple times towards the end of the game that make it look more respectable
Okay.
on paper. I think Nebraska dominates this game in the trenches physically through the entire game. I think we rattle Shedeur. I think we get to every level of their defense on an extreme level. Sure, we might make a mistake or two. They might have a house call go the other direction on a pick six, something like that. But I really think that we're going to be able to do pretty much whatever we want to on offense when it comes to especially the ground game. And I see us putting up 400, 450 yards in this game, probably close to 30, 35 points, somewhere in that neighborhood. My score prediction is probably going to be somewhere around the 32-24, 31-24, something like that. Nebraska.
Okay.
That feels very optimistic. I
Sure.
don't necessarily, especially
Would you say hopeful?
that is outside of my expectations. I'll say that. I see Nebraska still winning this game, and I definitely like the betting odds here. Colorado having 3 points, whatever it is right now. So I'm taking Nebraska with the points. I'm taking Nebraska with the win. I do not see a big win by Nebraska. I see like a 28-24 type win because like I said, our defense, that's where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
I need to learn some things from our offense before I trust them at all. So 28 points is almost feels high to me for our offense, but that's what I'm going with. 28-24, Nebraska.
That's why I said I don't know that we can get to 30.
I just feel like we should be
I
able
think
to
if
run.
we
either
do get
way.
to 30, we win.
I
Getting
just feel like
points
we should be
against
able to run
Colorado,
6 plays in this game,
Yeah.
and dominate on offense.
getting points against Colorado all day. If as much money as I can throw on it, that's what I'm doing.
So I see this game as, and I understand every game is both teams. I see this game strictly, forget Colorado, about Nebraska. I talked about tackling. I talked about tight end targets, all of that stuff. If Nebraska can control the ball and tackle on defense, we can win this game. I absolutely think that, everybody is slobbing all over Colorado and everything else. The point spread shifted from 8, 9, 10, 11 in the offseason for Nebraska to 3, 2.5, 3, 3.5 for Colorado now, because of what Colorado was able to do, what Nebraska was not so-called not able to do against Minnesota. But it's still only 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5 points. That tells me that Vegas still needs to see more from Colorado before they start to believe in all that stuff. They believed enough to switch the number. I get that. But like you said, BJ.
Yeah, but a lot of that is the money that's come down on that.
I understand that, but they still wouldn't move the number if they didn't believe it completely.
No, they moved the number to bet to try and balance their books. That's what they're trying to do, is entice Nebraska bets.
I
That's
know
what the whole point. Basically, it takes $1 million to move that line 0.5 point. But $1 million on.
But considering like we talked about earlier, like 95% of the money is on Colorado, that number should be higher.
Yeah, that just means that fans who are betting don't know what they're talking about. Vegas knows what they're doing when they set lines.
You also don't see any of those sharp bettors come in until probably.
And that's what I was about to say.
Probably Friday, early on Saturday.
It's cool that 95% of the money is on Colorado, but is any of that big money, sharp money?
It also won't end that way.
100%.
Especially with this line the way it is. It'll be closer to 50.
I mean, shit, you look at ESPN's score predictor or whatever, they still have Nebraska at a 60% chance to win.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like,
everybody who's been paying attention.
Everybody's talking about this line like it's the end-all, be-all, and the way that it has shifted. That's what I was trying to get at. The way that it has shifted, everybody's talking about that as the end-all, be-all. It still isn't like, if it was the end-all, be-all like everybody is talking about, it should be Colorado by 7 or 8. Not, early on where Nebraska was 7, 8, 9, 10. And not
7.5 is where it opened.
And not now Colorado at roughly 3. If it was that big of a deal, then Colorado would be higher favored right now, at least as we talk about this on Wednesday.
When they reset that line after the game, like immediately after the game, it would have been a Colorado favorite.
Yes.
It wouldn't have been 2.5.
Exactly.
Nebraska.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, the Vegas number is not, to me, overwhelmingly, Nebraska's going to get their ass kicked. This is
a toss-up
chance.
number.
All those
this
things.
Is a toss-up.
It's 100% a pick-em number. I believe that if Nebraska can stick to what they want, I think Rhule and his staff watched that first game against Minnesota and saw the things that they should have done, wanted to do, and I think that they're going to stick to that. Also, let's throw out the word, I hope that they're going to stick to what they have said. A lot of people have talked about it. We have talked about it. Some of the things that they talked about during the offseason is not what we saw in the Minnesota game. I think they're going to go back to that. I think they're going to go back to their roots at what they tried to preach during the offseason. I think that they're going to do that against Colorado. I think it's going to be successful to a certain extent. I do not think this is going to be a comfortable win, like you said, BJ. But I do still pick Nebraska to win this game. Hell, I almost want to do it just like I did the Minnesota game, a 3-point win for Nebraska. I think it's even going to be less than 3 points, maybe even a last-second field goal by our freshman kicker, Alvano, to win this game. I don't know that I have a score. I haven't really thought that far. I've been thinking about so many other things with this game. I didn't really come up with a score in my mind. I think it's going to be in the 20s. Whatever that means is whatever that means. I think it's going to be a very close game. I would even pick Nebraska with the points as far as the 2.5, 3, 3.5. Even at 2.5, I would take Nebraska because I think it's going to be 1 or 2 point game.
Yeah.
So Nebraska wins. They get back off of the mat, if you want to call it that. I don't think that they did, but a lot of fans are freaking out. So Nebraska picks up the win, and we go into next week on a high.
And this may be the most unbelievable night in Cornhusker football history.